Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis famously referred to states as the laboratories of democracies in our federalist system. In my opinion, it's a great system, usually. Different states have different needs, different states have things that they can try out that may succeed or fail. We can scale them for the entire nation if they do. The downside of that, though, is that in some cases you have to sit by and watch as some states, as cherished as they may be, chose to go down a very dark path. For all the attention that is paid to the school policies of Florida, it is always remarkable to me that the nation's most populous, most important economic state, California, gets a free pass from the media as it radically transforms its entire education system in the pursuit of a terrible goal: equity. We have discussed this concept ad nauseum here, but to define terms properly once again is important. Equity is the desire to equalize all outcomes between races. Equality of opportunity seeks to give each person the same opportunity to succeed without determining their outcome. Equity has been the go-to solution for California elites in trying to address racial disparities with disastrous outcomes already. The city of San Francisco over the last several years pursued a so-called Algebra for None program, which limited opportunities for high-achieving students in the 8th grade to try and give everyone a better shot at learning math. Years into the program now, the results are unambiguous. The policy did nothing to address racial disparities, only sought to limit the opportunity available to high-achieving students. Rich students simply just had parents pay for outside tutoring, which means tax-paying citizens with kids who were ready for algebra in 8th grade were actively penalized by their government. Since obviously this worked so well in San Francisco and was so obviously a failure, the state of California has decided to roll out a very similar plan to the entire state for math curriculum. The new curriculum seeks to, quote, put meaning-making at the center of math classrooms and encourages, quote, teachers to make math culturally relevant and accessible for all students, especially students of color who have been traditionally marginalized in the subject. Okay, so we're talking about making math culturally relevant. I think I know where this is going. The new framework for teaching math effectively discourages organizations or instruction on individual standards for math. Instead, the framework outlines, quote, big ideas in mathematics for each grade that are designed to drive instruction. In theory, this actually sounds nice. But in practice, when actually you look deeper, it is clear, not only to me, but the heads of major math departments at prestigious math departments all across the California university system, that this moves away from objective metrics and actual learning. The new curriculum encourages teachers to make math more of a venue to talk about social justice and to get students to find a, quote, sense of belonging, and in some cases to sell math to students as a way to, quote, examine inequities and address important issues in their lives and communities. Effectively, they're trying to sell math as to kids as a way to look at racial disparities, which is, I guess, true, but should also probably just be sold as a tool that is able to do pretty much anything that requires metrics and help you understand it. Furthermore, California is doing a bait and switch here. They are trying to sound reasonable, but are very nefarious whenever you look into it. California schools are loosening admissions criteria, telling high schools that they would consider applicants who skipped Algebra 2, which originally was a cornerstone of math instruction and a baseline for people who wanted to continue in the university level. In place, schools in California are now saying that, quote, data science is an acceptable replacement. But the reason why the schools in California are pursuing data science as a replacement is, quote, an equity issue, aka it sends more students to college. How? The reality is that the coursework itself appears to be less challenging and apparently creates less racial disparities, so it is the desirable solution. We arrive once again at a place where, in the name of equity and equal racial outcomes, we are dumbing down standards for everyone and potentially making higher level math even less accessible to those who move through the California public education system. In fact, 8 black faculty members argued to the University of California system in May of 2022 that pushing data science over Algebra 2 as a requirement, quote, will harm students from such groups by steering them away from being prepared for STEM majors. Why? Because they will not have access to the basic skills to keep up in class and will simply drop out. They will incur more student debt, or they will waste their time, and of course not, they will actually not fulfill the desired outcome, which is more people of color allegedly in these jobs and positions in these fields. The toughest part about all of this racial-obsessed equity advocates in California is they are mixing important rhetoric with race and poisoning the well. On the one hand, they are not wrong. Data is obviously very important in our current society. When is the last time that you needed to, quote, divide by a polynomial? Did you really need to do that? Or did you need to understand large data sets, their interaction with the world to actually get ahead? I totally get that on a conceptual level. The problem is that the curriculum they're putting forward seems like an awfully convenient way to get more desired minority groups into the University of California education system. And it also seems that by the talking point is to instead cover for a new affirmative action regime. Furthermore, to the black professor's point who dissented from this decision, the single most important thing that publication can do is give people a chance. Rich kids will always be fine, as they were in San Francisco. No matter what the school is, what they're doing, they will have tutors, prep courses, and they will have a culture that emphasizes learning. Public education should remain a place that demands rigorous standards in the name of both preparing better citizens, but also giving opportunities to ascend to higher social strata that people would never have had the chance if they did not attend that school. Asian kids of doctors and engineers, they've got no problems continuing those fields. But people of other races whose parents barely completed high school have no idea what to do. It is the public education system's job to give them an actual opportunity and not think less of them by dumbing down standards and setting them up to fail, or just as bad, punishing high-achieving students by actively discriminating against them. We are taking a major step back as a society if we go down this route. 100 years ago, public education was a joke for poor people, while the elites ensconced themselves in boarding and finishing schools. There was little to no opportunity to actually ascend social rank, absent very few outliers. The more public education becomes untenable for people with means, they will simply exit the system. They will segregate themselves further and diminish the cross-class mingling, which is vital in our society and diminishes the ability to do better in life. Maybe that is the plan after all, but if it's not, we need to turn towards this equality of opportunity to give everyone an actual equal shot instead of trying to equalize everyone. I'm curious what you think, Crystal. You've got kids.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.